Now, I know some of you are looking at me and you're like, James, I thought you had to be in shape to be a veteran. Round is a shape, so screw you.
What's going on, you guys? It's Pedro again here with Knightlife Entertainment, and what we're gonna do today is interview one of the hottest comedians out, coming out of Jersey, James Mack. He's looking around like, where is he? How you doing today, James?
I'm doing pretty good, Pedro. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. We're gonna talk about a lot of things, so stay tuned right here. Knightlife Entertainment, James Mack. Woo!
So like I said, my name is James Mack. So as you can tell from my accent, I'm not originally from up here. I'm originally from the South. And when I tell people I'm from the South, I always have to give this disclaimer, is that I'm not racist anymore. You know, stereotypes are funny that way, man. But some of the stereotypes actually have some truth to it. But one of the ones I hear up here a lot is that white people don't like spicy food, and I think that's kind of funny, man. Like, I'm from East Texas. We're like Cajuns on horseback. We put hot sauce on everything we eat. Makes taking a girl home that first night a lot more fun. She can't say she didn't feel anything that time. For those of you who may not have got that joke, it's alright. It's a slow burn. Now, something else about me is that I am a veteran. I did 15 years as a paratrooper in the Army. Please hold your applause. I understand how brainwashing works. It's alright. But ladies, if a guy ever tells you he's a veteran, it's usually for one of two reasons. Either he's trying to get laid, or he's trying to get a free drink. So make sure you carry whiskey with you. So, now I know some of you are looking at me and you're like, James, I thought you had to be in shape to be a veteran. Round is a shape, so screw you. I actually tried to lose weight not that long ago. I went to the doctor and asked him what I needed to do. He said, hey, we'll give you a Fitbit, goes on your right wrist, measures the motion of your wrist, tells us how much you worked out. You can see how much I gave a crap about that thing. But I took it home, figured I'd give it a try. In the first 2 weeks, the only thing I learned is that I drank for about 3 miles a day. But I had to go back after a month. And when I went back, the doc's like, wow, James, you're doing great. After the first 2 weeks, now you're up to about a half marathon every other day. I didn't have the heart to tell him that. I took it off my wrist, put it on my dog's tail, and started feeding her treats. Now, I know some people worry that, combat veterans may be getting a little paranoid, but everybody gets paranoid every now and again. And I'll prove it to you. You ever driving down the road, you take a right, the car behind you follows you, then you take a left, they take a left, all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, is that the FBI? Is that my ex? Oh crap, is that a cop? I'm white, I'm good. So, in my case, it's just another fat guy going to the buffet. It's alright. Now, I know some people worry about us having flashbacks, and if you've never had a flashback, essentially you get to relive your worst moments in life over and over again. Kind of like, when Donald Trump thinks about running for office. So, but I always wonder, why can't we have good flashbacks? Like the first time your dad took you to a ball game, or your first kiss. Like most people remember their first kiss, it's usually a good thing. I remember my first kiss, I was all excited. She was really firm, and I'm not allowed in that cemetery again. It's okay, we boned. It was alright. So. Now, every comic has an origin story, kind of like a real crappy superhero on Adderall. And I'm no different. So I recently told my dad that I was doing comedy. And after he laughed at my career choice and not my jokes, he asked me why I would want to do that. And I said, well, Dad, it started on a dare. And he's like, boy, you should have took truth.
All right, welcome everybody. This week's Knightlife Spotlight is on a great comedian, veteran, Mr. James Mack.
Thank you.
Let's give a round of applause for James Mack.
Yeah.
All right, James. So, when did you get started in comedy, Eric?
So I got started about 4 years ago, and I got serious about it about 2 years ago.
Okay.
So started out as a roast comic. So basically, just walk on stage,
just start roasting,
find somebody, and just start picking on them. Find every little thing, kind of, the same thing you would do with your squad.
Absolutely, and we get the roasting with our squad.
Yeah. And then a friend of mine who's a road comic, meaning like he does this for a living,
right.
was like, hey, why don't you write some jokes and give it a try? And I was like, all right, man. I was like, let's do this. And so wrote out some jokes, got up there, they worked, and I was like, oh, this is a lot better. I was like, I can do longer sets this way.
Wow. So what influenced you with comedy? Like growing up, were you always funny, or was this something that you kind of like picked up as you grew older?
No, like as far as influencing, like no, I was always a very like serious kid growing up. Played sports, like academic stuff like that. Right. Actually, what kind of got me into it was actually roasting, like the Comedy Central roast and things like that. Those. And then roast masters out of New York City. Mm-hmm. So one of the guys that I'm now friends with that I looked up to is Eli Sayers, who was the roast champion for 5 years. Wow. Like destroyed people. And you get to know him, and it's kind of funny because people's persona on stage aren't what they are.
Right.
Like if you were to meet Eli face to face, he's one of the nicest guys, never has anything negative to say. And then you see him go do a roast battle,
and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and he almost makes people cry. Yeah.
So have you ever gotten to that point where, have you ever had one of those good roasting sessions where you almost made somebody cry?
Oh yes. So as a matter of fact, it's on my website too. There was one, my favorite joke that I've done. It was against a girl. She's an improv comic, and she decided to do roasting. And it was she's kind of flat chested, and I did it, and I was like, well. Usually you compare a women's breast to fruit, and I'll be able to tell you what yours are once they ripen.
Okay.
And
wow.
Yeah, but it's all in fun.
Of course.
Yeah, a roast is just another show. So yeah. So it's not meant. It sounds mean, but most of the time we know each other.
Right. So it's a friendly. It's a friendly kind of thing.
Yep.
Now let's talk about your military service. When did you? What branch of service?
I was in the Army active duty.
When did you join?
February '95.
Wow. I was a freshman in high school.
Yep.
And what was your job?
So I started out in the infantry, jumping out of airplanes and doing stupid stuff like that. Did about 10.5 years of that, and then switched over to military police.
Awesome. So, where'd you go for MP training?
Fort Leonard
Wood.
Yeah.
I was there. I remember good old Leonard Wood. Yeah. So, did you use comedy at all while you were? Where did you deploy to?
So I spent roughly a total of a little over 10 years deployed out of my 15 years. So I loved it though. That was one of the things I figured, that was our job. That's what you're supposed to do. But I went all over, Africa. Went to Egypt, Nigeria. Went to South America. Of course, Iraq, Afghanistan. Got to do some humanitarian stuff in Poland during a blizzard in January of 2001.
Was that like being at Fort Drum? You've never been to Fort Drum.
Yeah. It was actually worse. So that's the reason we went in. It snowed so much, people's houses collapsed in on them.
Oh wow!
But that's the kind of stuff that I also tell people about when they ask about deployments. It's not like firefights and all that.
Right.
Like I've helped build schools. I've helped rebuild people's houses, feed them.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Good ambassador for our country, basically.
Yeah.
You went over there and did your thing. Good.
Yeah.
So, did you use any comedy to get by while you were deployed? Did you roast any of the guys? Because I know we used to do that all the time. We used to get it together and forget it on patrol, roast the hell out of each other all the time.
You get on SquadNet, make sure you're on SquadNet.
Oh, yeah.
Don't do like one of my buddies did. He had one of his privates accidentally get on mainnet and start saying some stuff. But yeah, we used to do that. We do just roast each other or do mom jokes and stuff like that.
I've heard the worst. Army guys, I'm gonna tell you, infantry guys have the worst, sickest humor. On patrol, humor is sick. Yeah. Now, let's talk about your company. What is your company name?
So my production company is called Headspace and Timing Comedy.
Awesome.
So, and it has a dual meaning. So headspace and timing for the military is when you're talking about 50 cal. You know, how you make sure it's working correctly.
Right.
But then when it comes to the comedy side of it, one of the things that I kind of pride myself on, and I also push for anybody who wants to work with us for our comedy, is it has to be intelligent. So we're not trying to do low-hanging fruit or like the stupid frat boy stuff.
Right.
For lack of a better expression, you may like that. That's not really something that I enjoy.
Right.
And it can be dark, it can be light, it can be high energy, low energy.
Just has to be smart.
But make people think.
Right.
So one of the comics I would say, or two of them that I would say that people are kind of missing out on, are Eric Frost, who's originally from Baltimore, now he's in New York City.
Right.
And the other one is Dina Hisham, who I don't know if you heard about that. She had a big deal blow up not too long ago with XXXTentacion or
oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, the rapper.
Yeah, and I love her comedy. She makes you think.
Yeah.
Like you're like, wait, what? Okay, I never thought of it that way. So, and that's what I like. I think that's some of the stuff that comedy needs to do.
Absolutely. So how would you see the New York comedy scene being like right now? For veteran comedians coming up in the city right now trying to do comedy.
So one of the great things about the New York comedy scene is there's not one scene.
Right.
So like if you go to the different boroughs, sometimes different parts of the boroughs, you're getting a completely different audience. And so there is something for everybody out there, but you're also going to walk in and do shows for people that just do not like you.
Right.
And being a white cis male from the South and a veteran, like I walk into some parts of Brooklyn, and as soon as I start talking, they're like, and that's literally why I start my sets off now with like, I know I'm from the South. Here's a disclaimer, and I have to always tell you that. But for the overall scene, I've worked with about 14 veteran comics in the city, and just like when you're in the military, we're all a little different.
Right.
So you have a guy who used to be a medic, and he talks about his deal with PTSD and getting out and how he dealt with it, and then I talk about how I dealt with mine.
Right.
And then you have guys who are veterans, but they never saw combat, so they have a different take on things.
Right.
And it's really cool just to get around them, and especially in that scene, because sometimes it's really hard to make friends, because once again, it's a competition.
It's competition, yeah, it's very cutthroat.
Yeah, and so it's really cool to sit there and talk to some of them and be like, hey, we do have something a lot more in common than some of these other comics.
Right.
And also we're a little bit older than them. It's almost like when you first start over there, it's almost like going back to college. Most of the comics are, 20 to like 26.
Yeah.
And then you have us coming. What's up? Yeah. And then you have some of us that are coming in, and we're in our 30s and 40s.
Right. So let's talk about our upcoming dates. What is your next few shows that you have coming up?
So the 17th, we have the Sunday Fun Day show at Westside Comedy Club. So it's a lot of upcoming comics that are just trying to break out. It's a lot of fun. You can find it on Westside Comedy Club site. And then one of the other shows that I run with Meg Belling is called Comedy Civil War. We take two groups of comics
and let them go at each other.
And then they determine who's better. And that's at the Creek in the Cave in Long Island City.
Awesome. So, well, there you have it, Mr. James Mack. Thank you so much for coming by and being part of our Knightlife Weekly Spotlight. Make sure you guys go over to the Creek in the Cave, and what's the other one's name? Westside Comedy Club.
Also, if you want to see what else we're doing, you can go to my website, it's headspaceandtimingcomedy.com. On Facebook, just look for James Mack, M-A-C, or on Instagram, it's Headspace and Timing Comedy.
Awesome. Once again, Mr. James Mack, thanks guys.
Thanks, y'all.
Awesome.